Have you ever watched a tiny, just almost imperceptible internet disagreement completely snowball?
Oh, yeah. Like constantly.
Right. Like you blink and suddenly a spat in a random comment section has just mutated into this massive multi-layered debate.
And it drags in dozens of creators who weren't even anywhere near the original drama.
Exactly. Suddenly everyone is arguing about ethics and systemic bias and crisis management.
It is a distinctly modern phenomenon, I think, and it really reveals so much about how our digital world operates.
Yeah.
Because you start out looking at a simple interpersonal conflict, and if you trace the threads back far enough, you just end up staring directly at the structural flaws of the entire online ecosystem.
Which honestly makes it the perfect subject for today's deep dive. We are jumping straight into the anatomy of online commentary drama.
We are.
We're going to decode how highly insular fandom dynamics end up colliding with mainstream internet commentary. And we're using a really specific explosive case study to understand these systemic challenges in the whole digital creator economy.
And we have a phenomenal, if maybe slightly overwhelming, stack of sources to pull from today.
A mountain of receipts.
Literally a mountain. We are looking at a full academic-style pathology report that really dissects YouTube commentary drama. Plus, we have this massive archive to sift through. Specifically, it's 169 videos from a creator named Hello Leash.
Wow.
Yeah, she meticulously documented every single twist and turn of this saga.
That is dedication. We've also got some excerpts from a Substack page belonging to a creator named Spencer, some podcast transcripts, and a really insightful Reddit thread from the community, Ardo and Otham Girlies.
But, and this is important, because we're dealing with a stack of sources that include some heavy stuff allegations of grooming, severe defamation, racial bias. We want to be incredibly clear up front with you.
Very clear. We aren't here to take sides or play judge or cancel anyone. Whether the sources lean left, right, or center, we are completely impartial here.
Absolutely. We are taking zero sides.
Right. We're just looking at the receipts to understand how the internet ecosystem actively profits off this kind of chaos. We're just the messengers for what the source material is presenting.
Exactly. The goal is just to look at the mechanics, not cast moral judgments. So to figure out how the commentary community fractured so spectacularly in this instance, we first have to look at the original sin of this drama.
Which was what, exactly?
It all starts with the weaponization of a fandom by a primary creator.
Okay, let's get into that, because the primary creator at the center of this initial storm is Gabbie Hanna. Right.
Correct.
And according to our sources, she has this long, really well-documented history of leveraging her audience to attack her critics. But she doesn't just hop on Twitter and tell people to go harass someone, does she?
No, it is far more insidious than that.
Right.
Within these highly toxic fandom structures, primary creators rarely launch the attacks themselves. They utilize highly active, dedicated fans, often called stans. And in this specific instance, the sources allege Hanna actually bribed and manipulated fans, specifically these two individuals named Alyssa Perrine and Gracie, to basically execute coordinated harassment campaigns.
See, when I read the word bribed in the report, I immediately thought of, money.
Sure, that makes sense.
But in the creator economy, the currency isn't always cash.
Right.
It's attention.
Oh, 100%.
It's access.
Yeah, it's a direct message from someone you idolize.
Precisely. The psychological grip a creator has over a superfan is just immense. The creator offers this tiny breadcrumb of validation, like a follow back or a private message, and in return, they have a loyal foot soldier.
Wow.
And in this case, Alyssa and Gracie weren't just leaving mean comments on videos. They were mobilized into a terrifyingly severe proxy harassment campaign against a fellow creator named Jen Dent.
Yeah, the details of this campaign are genuinely shocking. I mean, they were spreading these incredibly damaging, completely false rumors that Jen Dent had raped a minor.
They distributed leaked tapes.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a concentrated, highly coordinated effort to just completely destroy a woman's reputation and livelihood.
It really was. And the underlying strategy here is what makes it so prevalent online.
Right.
By utilizing fans as proxies, the primary creator creates a buffer. They completely avoid direct legal or public liability. Meanwhile, the target in this case, Jen Dent, suffers immense reputational and emotional distress.
Reading through the pathology report, the only way I could visualize this was by picturing a mob boss.
Oh, that's a really good analogy.
Right, like the boss never gets their own hands dirty. They sit in the back room and use low-level associates to carry out the hit.
Exactly.
That way they maintain total plausible deniability. They can just say, hey, I didn't do it. My rogue associate went crazy.
It is the exact same architecture as organized crime, honestly, just transposed onto social media. The primary creator sets the parameters, implicitly encourages the behavior, and then just reaps the benefits of silencing a critic. But they assume absolutely none of the risk.
But just like the mob, the whole system collapses the second the associate gets caught and decides to flip.
And flip she did. The entire internet media machine went into absolute overdrive when Alyssa Perrine, the associate in our mob boss analogy, suddenly claimed to be a victim.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Alyssa attempted to distance herself from Gabbie Hanna by framing her past actions entirely as the result of grooming and manipulation.
So she presented herself as this naive, helpless victim who was coerced into doing these terrible things.
Right.
And the commentary community they just bought it wholesale.
They really did.
Creators like Adam McIntyre and Evangelina Skov just rushed to produce content, adopting this highly sympathetic stance toward Alyssa.
Yeah, Adam in particular really projected his own lived trauma with the creator, Colleen Ballinger, onto the situation.
Right.
He basically assumed Alyssa was a minor during the height of the harassment and gave her a complete rhetorical pass.
Which exposes what the psychologists and media analysts in our sources call the empathy blind spot.
Exactly. You really have to look at the incentives driving these commentators. In the rush to cover a developing story, commentators just naturally gravitate toward the most compelling, easily digestible narrative.
Yeah.
And the manipulated, naive fan is a very sympathetic archetype.
It really is. It provides a clean, easily identifiable villain, the big bad creator, and a helpless victim.
It's the perfect narrative for a 20-minute video essay. It makes the story so much easier to package.
But in granting Perrine that completely uncritical sympathy, they entirely minimized the tangible, severe harm she'd inflicted on Jen Dent.
Yes.
Like they just glossed over the fact that she tried to ruin someone's life with false rape allegations.
Well, Jen Dent understandably refused to be glossed over.
Yeah, she fought back.
She intervened with documented evidence, an absolute mountain of receipts showing that Alyssa wasn't just some passive, brainwashed victim. She was an active, malicious participant in these campaigns who actually took joy in the harassment.
And the moment Jen Dent dropped those receipts, the whole narrative just completely imploded.
It fell apart instantly.
Adam McIntyre, realizing his entire framing was wrong, panicked, and temporarily hid or deleted his live stream. But it was too late. Because of his initial uncritical framing, his own fans had already started attacking Jen Dent in the comments.
And this is where the Reddit community over at Ardo Know Them Girlies provided a really fascinating real-time perspective on this fallout.
I loved reading through that thread.
Yeah, the users there noted that after the dust settled, Adam did actually clear the air. He came back from VidCon, updated his audience, and formally apologized to Jen Dent.
Right.
But the Reddit thread also highlights how incredibly messy reality actually is.
Yeah, they point out that Jen Dent, who is in her late 50s, isn't some flawless, perfect victim either.
Not at all.
She was facing criticism for her own behavior online. The Reddit users highlighted that she had made these pretty ableist tweets like telling people they needed helmets and a, quote, CBD treat.
Yeah, it really underscores that in these digital conflicts, everyone is flawed. The binary of perfect victim and perfect villain is just a complete illusion.
An illusion that generates an exhausting amount of content. I mean, you look at Hello Leisha's YouTube channel. She uploaded a 169 video playlist.
It's staggering.
Relentlessly documenting these timelines, parsing through every tweet and live stream just to prove Alyssa's lack of accountability. 169 videos just to establish a basic factual timeline.
Which is wild.
It is. And honestly, it makes me want to push back on the entire commentary community right now.
How so?
Well, is the demand for a hot take actually incentivizing creators to just straight up lie? Or at least incentivizing them to prioritize a juicy narrative over rigorous factual due diligence?
That's a great question.
Like, if doing the actual research takes a week, but the drama is trending today, aren't they structurally forced to just guess?
You've hit on the core dysfunction of the platform's architecture right there. The creator economy algorithmically rewards speed above absolutely everything else.
Yeah.
If you are the first to provide commentary on a trending drama, you capture the audience, you get the ad revenue, and you get the subscriber bump.
Yeah.
Taking the time to properly investigate, to verify if the manipulated fan was actually a minor, or if they were the primary driver of defamation that takes days. And time is exactly what the algorithm penalizes.
Wow.
The financial incentive is completely aligned with being first, not being right.
So the system is actively punishing creators for being responsible journalists.
Exactly.
That is, wow. That brings us to the next, arguably most bizarre chapter of this whole saga.
Yeah, this part is wild.
So Jen Dent realizes the mainstream commentary community isn't hearing her, or they just aren't doing the research. So she seeks to consolidate her perspective by collaborating with a peer.
Right.
She teams up with a creator named Spencer, who runs a channel called the Sixth Spence. But this collaboration just completely derails.
It is a whiplash-inducing pivot. The narrative abruptly shifts from a discussion about fandom manipulation into this glaring, real-time example of systemic racial bias.
Yeah.
And to understand how this happened, you really have to look at Spencer's brand.
Yeah, I was looking at Spencer's Substack, and she positions herself as this highly intellectual, critical voice on feminism, misogyny, and power dynamics. She writes these sprawling essays with titles like North Americans Have Depressing Relationships and Mass Lesbians and the Dream Boyfriend Complex.
Right.
Her entire brand is basically built on deconstructing social interactions and calling out toxic power structures.
Knowing that background makes her actions on YouTube so perplexing.
It really does.
So Jen Dent collaborates with Spencer on a video that is ostensibly supposed to dissect the Gabbie Hanna and Alyssa Perrine situation. But midway through, Spencer diverts the video entirely to launch the severe, highly public critique of a prominent Black female creator named Paige Christie.
It was completely out of nowhere. Spencer claims she was, quote, disappointed and expected better from Paige Christie regarding how Paige was handling her professional conduct.
Yeah.
And this is where the pathology report we are sourcing becomes vital, because it identifies this specific rhetorical tactic as tone policing.
Tone policing is a deeply insidious tactic. Instead of actually addressing the substance or validity of what a person is saying, the attacker focuses entirely on the emotion or the manner of the person's expression. You basically invalidate their argument by claiming they are communicating it incorrectly.
So instead of engaging with Paige Christie's actual points, Spencer just attacked how she was saying it.
Exactly.
But the sources make a crucial point here. When this tactic is applied to Black women, it carries a heavy historical weight, doesn't it?
It really does. It is frequently compounded by racial microaggressions. It relies on these historically rooted tropes of the angry or unreasonable Black woman to basically diminish their authority.
Right.
By publicly declaring disappointment and saying she expected better, Spencer wasn't just having a professional disagreement with a peer. She was using a paternalistic moralizing framework. She basically appointed herself the ultimate arbiter of acceptable behavior.
It's like a teacher scolding a child. She was enforcing this rigid standard of respectability that is disproportionately demanded of creators of color.
Yeah.
And the double standard within the commentary community's coverage of this exact dispute is just staggering.
The hypocrisy is perhaps the most glaring takeaway from the whole pathology report.
Yep.
I mean, you have white fans, like Alyssa Perrine, who actively and gleefully participated in severe defamation campaigns involving fake rape allegations, and they are granted endless nuance.
Endless.
The community infantilizes them, searches for reasons to excuse their behavior, and completely shields them from consequences.
But a Black peer creator makes a perceived minor infraction or communicates in a way someone else doesn't like, and she faces hyper-scrutiny and a massive public chastisement.
Yeah.
The audience recognized the implicit bias immediately, though.
They absolutely did. And it brings up a really fascinating psychological disconnect. It highlights that intellectualizing a concept and writing like deconstructing power dynamics on a Substack does not automatically immunize you from perpetuating those exact same systemic biases in practice.
That's the part that blew my mind. Like, how does someone whose entire brand is built on spotting toxic power dynamics fail to see the racialized power dynamics she was actively perpetuating against a peer?
It's baffling.
It really is. And when the audience rightly called her out on this hypocrisy, Spencer's attempts to fix it only proved how deeply flawed digital crisis communication can be.
Oh.
The sources actually refer to her reaction as the apology paradox.
Right, the apology paradox. That occurs when the attempt to make amends actually inflicts secondary trauma on the victim. Yeah. Following the massive wave of criticism for her tone policing, Spencer tried to apologize. Her first attempt was a deleted, panic-driven video.
I read the transcripts of this video, and it is just a masterclass in missing the point.
Totally.
Instead of addressing the harm she caused Paige Christie, Spencer centered the video entirely on her own anxiety about the public backlash and the fear of being deplatformed. She essentially made herself the victim of the situation she created.
She showed zero empathy for Paige, which completely alienated her remaining audience.
Yeah.
Realizing the video only made things worse, she deleted it and made a second attempt. She posted a written statement on her YouTube community tab, and the admission buried inside this post is just staggering.
It really is. In an attempt at transparency, I guess, Spencer openly admitted that she had launched her public critique while Paige Christie and her family were actively navigating profound personal grief.
Unbelievable.
She admitted she didn't even do the basic research to know that the peer she was publicly attacking was grieving a profound family loss.
Just think about the irony here. This is the exact same standard of due diligence she had just criticized other commentary channels for neglecting.
Yeah.
It was a complete failure of basic humanity and editorial standards. Furthermore, the written apology basically confirmed that her critique was a direct deployment of racialized microaggressions. She admitted to using language that weaponized historical tropes to stigmatize Black women.
Here's the thing that really gets me, though. I was scrolling through the titles of Spencer's Substack posts, right?
Oh.
And one of them is literally titled, quote, "You can't talk to me about your trauma for at least a year."
Wow.
That is her stated, strict boundary for her own emotional well-being. She demands absolute protection for her own peace. So how can a creator who is so fiercely guarded about her own emotional boundaries so recklessly trample over the boundaries and the acute grief of a fellow creator?
It represents a staggering lack of self-awareness. And it sits at the very core of the apology paradox we mentioned.
Right.
The apology itself functioned as a secondary harm. By publicly admitting to her negligence in the community post, Spencer simultaneously exposed Paige Christie's private family trauma to the public sphere without her consent.
It forced the burden of education and the burden of emotional endurance entirely onto the victim.
Exactly.
Paige Christie had to navigate a highly visible public dispute about racial bias during a period of intense personal loss, all because another creator didn't do a simple background check before chasing a hot take.
And unfortunately, when non-Black creators engage in racially insensitive behavior in these spaces, the burden almost always falls on the victim to mediate, to educate, and to endure the public fallout.
Always.
The aggressor gets to post an apology and claim they are learning and growing while the victim is left to manage the emotional wreckage.
It's honestly exhausting just to trace the lines of this thing.
It's a lot.
I mean, a primary creator weaponizes a fandom. The commentary channels rush to cover the fallout without checking the facts because the algorithm demands speed, the victims try to correct the record, and in doing so, they are subjected to tone policing and secondary trauma by the very people claiming to analyze the situation objectively.
It is a localized dispute, yes, but it serves as a perfect microcosm for the structural vulnerabilities of the contemporary creator economy.
Yeah.
The system is incredibly fragile and highly susceptible to bad faith actors at literally every level.
So why should you care about all of this? I mean, we all consume this content, whether it's YouTube commentary, TikTok drama, or Reddit threads. We are swimming in this ecosystem every single day.
We really are.
Understanding these structures, how emotional labor is unfairly extracted from creators of color, how implicit bias shapes the narrative before we even have all the facts, and how the demand for rapid response videos completely destroys basic due diligence. It just makes us more critical, media-literate consumers.
Because true accountability isn't found in a panicked apology video or some defensive community post drafted by a PR team.
No.
It requires creators to actively dismantle their biases and respect the lived experiences of their peers. And as consumers, we have a responsibility to recognize when we are being fed a narrative that prioritizes speed and drama over accuracy and empathy.
I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on today, because this really stuck with me after going through all these sources. If the current architecture of the creator economy inherently rewards speed over accuracy and drama over empathy, is true accountability even possible on these platforms? Or is this system working exactly as designed, just profiting off the collateral damage?
Oof. It is a profound question, and one that should fundamentally change how you view the next major narrative that unfolds online.
Speaking of narratives unfolding online, we really want to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself caught up in a narrative online, only to realize later that the villain was actually the victim, or vice versa?
We've all been there.
Did the algorithm feed you a story that turned out to be completely backwards? Tell us about it in the comment section below. We really want to read your experiences with this.
We definitely do.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please take a second to like and subscribe. Not just so you never miss a video, but because it tells the YouTube algorithm that people actually like this kind of in-depth, nuanced analysis, and will push it out to more people who really need to see it.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, Keep an eye out for those tiny internet disagreements. You never know when they might trigger an avalanche.